If you've ever felt like an imposter or in over your head or unqualified for the job or task that you've been given, stick around. My name is Kent and this is your half-hour call.
Attention cast and crew, this is your half-hour call. Half hour to the top of the show. Half hour.
What is up, friends, and welcome back to Half Hour Call. One of my areas of improvement in the last year and a half or so has been in conquering, or at least significantly reducing, my imposter syndrome. Sometimes I still feel like a turtle on a fence post, where you don't know exactly how he got where he is, but you know that he didn't do it alone. More and more, though, I'm realizing that it's all in my mind. And the good news is, if I'm the problem, that also means I am the solution. Speaking of problems, it seems that you haven't hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm yet. I'm just saying, a real stage manager would have already hit that like button. I'm just kidding. Let's dive in. Perhaps the most comforting information that I can offer is that if you are suffering from imposter syndrome, you are not alone. Many people, almost everyone I've ever talked to about it, has suffered from imposter syndrome in some form or another at some point in their career. In fact, I have imposter syndrome right now about making this video about imposter syndrome. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor or a therapist, and I am not qualified to talk about this at all. And yet, I think it's an important conversation worth having. An early breakthrough I had in my journey as a stage manager was realizing that I needed to put more faith in the abilities of the people interviewing me for jobs. As long as I'm truthful and honest with my answers in an interview, I cannot possibly deceive them into giving me the job over another candidate. They're all making the best call they can for their production or organization, and if that best call is hiring me, then who am I to question their ability to do their job? Ironically, this started as a way to lessen the blow of not getting a job, but lately I've been finding it equally helpful in the inverse, where if I am chosen for a job that seems like a stretch out of my comfort zone, it's because that hiring manager believes I can do it. Okay, but what about when you're actually on the job? What about all those little mistakes you make throughout the day that we all make? Those situations you wish you could redo or approach in a different way? What about when someone is rude to you and all you want to do is yell at them and tell them off? Doesn't that make you a bad stage manager? Well, no. The secret is your ability to separate your impulse from your actions. Your impulse is just your body trying to protect you from something. From embarrassment, from being hurt, from failure, from all kinds of extreme negative possibilities that probably won't happen, but they might. But our fight, flight, freeze, and fawn reflex is designed to keep us safe from tigers hiding in the woods, not sending an email or telling directors they're 5 minutes overdue for a break. So if you're like me, your initial impulse is often extreme and unhelpful. Here's an example of what I mean. Early in my career, an untrustworthy company that I believe has since gone out of business screwed me over and refused to give me my final paycheck until I literally filed a lawsuit against them. So my body and my anxiety alarms put a GPS pin in that situation. So when anything feels slightly untrustworthy or like I'm getting screwed over, I am instantly transported back to that horrible process of having to sue someone for what they agreed to pay me many months after it was already due. Because of that experience, to this day, my initial impulse when someone is breaking an equity rule or a paycheck is a few hours later than I expect it to hit, is that it's all coming down and they're just some sleazy con men running a scam of a theater, which every time so far could not be further from the truth, especially the places I've been working lately. If a theater is breaking an equity rule, it's usually because they didn't realize or didn't know about the rule. If I bring it up, it normally gets fixed right away. Or they know and are willing to pay the overtime or penalty that it incurs. If a paycheck is late, it just means someone forgot to hit send or submit, or they're waiting for approval to pay for the overtime to make sure that I'm actually getting everything I'm supposed to get. No one is trying to deceive me. Likewise, if someone raises their voice or gives a stern correction during tech, it's not that they think I'm an idiot or incompetent or don't deserve to be here. They're just under their own pressures and stress of getting the show on its feet, and that's how it manifested itself today. So it doesn't matter what your initial impulse is. What matters is how you choose to act on it. Similarly, for a really long time, I felt like I was an actor playing the part of a stage manager. I had very minimal formal training in stage management and no collegiate experience in stage management at all. And for the most part, I just looked to, quote, real stage managers and tried to emulate how they worked. It took me a really long time, until very recently, to realize that if I stop and ask myself, what would a real stage manager do in this situation, and I successfully come to the right conclusion and carry that out, then I am the real stage manager in that situation. It brought a new meaning to the phrase, fake it till you make it. If you act like someone who's good at the job, eventually you'll just be someone who is good at the job. Again, I cannot stress enough, this does not mean pretend to be more qualified than you are. This doesn't really apply in interviews when you're talking about past experiences. This is more for day-to-day actual action on the job. If I'm making choices based on asking myself, what would Claudia Lynch do? Or what would Amanda Spooner do? Or what would Ruthie Kramer do? It can feel like you're a fraud and that you don't really know what the right choices are. But unless those people are literally over your shoulder telling you what choice to make, you are still the one making those choices. You're just using them as a framework or a model or a filter of how you want to stage manage in that situation. I want to leave you with a quote that really broke the whole issue of imposter syndrome wide open for me. I first heard this quote on a podcast hosted by Dr. John Deloney. I'll leave a link in the description below. But the quote itself is from Claire Joseph. Claire's definition of imposter syndrome hit me like a ton of bricks. Imposter syndrome, Claire defines, is the fear of others judging you in the same way you judge yourself. So if you're anything like me, maybe the best way to change your imposter syndrome is to address the way that you talk to yourself. Thank you so much for liking, watching, commenting, and subscribing. My name is Kent, and this has been your half-hour call.
Find the perfect gift for the stage manager in your life at the Half Hour Call store. Now with free shipping on all domestic orders. New products added frequently. Visit KentJamesCollins.com/store to shop now.